What's up, Project Cars 2 fans? David Land here, and welcome to the second to last Rolex 24 hype video in Project Cars 2. Today we are going to be finally taking a look at perhaps what is the most popular class among the fans at this year's Rolex 24, and that is the GTLM category. Of course, run to the WEC GTE regulations, and there was a lot of debate in the comments section of the last video, the GTD category or GT3 category video, as to which car I would be driving. I chose the Ferrari 488. Now, a lot of people wanted me to drive the Ford GT. The reason I didn't was because I had already driven that car in a video, and if I remember, the card will be coming up on the screen right now where you can see me drive the Ford GT. But I wanted to feature the Ferrari 488 because I definitely like it as a GT car. I like it to drive in this game, and it is in an IMSA livery. Now, unfortunately, the Risi Competizione Ferrari is not in here. However, there are two IMSA liveried cars. The one I will be driving is the Scuderia Corsa car, which ran, I think, in the 2015 or 16 Rolex 24. As well as the SMP Racing Ferrari, which is also in this race, ironically enough, that also raced in the race that Scuderia Corsa Ferrari did. Now, some people wanted me to, or in fact, one person in particular suggested I drive the SMP Ferrari, and to which I say, had I driven with the Russians, I kind of worry that the result of the race would have been I would have had accusations of rigging it, and we don't want to do that. You may also notice that it's raining in qualifying. That's simply because I forgot to turn the rain for qualifying off. We're doing 115% AI, obviously a 25-minute race, a full 24-hour simulation of the Rolex 24, and as you can see, all the GTE cars came out of the pits at the same time, and look how close some of this racing is going to get. That is what the Rolex, and particularly the GTLM or GTE class, is famous for, and we are going to have one heck of a fight over 25 minutes. Here we go. So here we come down for the GTE Rolex 24. We have a very accurate grid of IMSA GTE cars. We've got the Corvettes, we've got the Fords, we've got the BMWs, we've got the Ferraris. The whole grid is here, the whole group is here, and we are underway. Already trying to make it 3 wide in turn 1. That ain't gonna work. I bailed out of that very quickly. Oh! Slipping through the middle of the Corvette and the BMW. Oh no, we didn't. We made a little bit of contact with the BMW at the start. We're going to slip underneath the Ford GT here into the horseshoe. The Corvette's battling with a prototype. So one of the P2 cars gets in between me and the Corvette. That was a great strategy move from the Corvette to get around the prototype here. Now we've got to see if we can do the same. Now the prototype's got way more grip through the kink in the back straightaway. Get into the second horseshoe, try to get it down there. I don't really like the gearing in this Ferrari. It's not really very well engineered for this track. Feels like no matter what I do to the gears, they're either too short or they're too long. So I kind of compromised in the direction of going for top speed on the banking, but even then, it feels like my car is a bit behind the rest of the field as we work through the banking. Thankfully, it doesn't look like that GT behind me has much of a run, so we're going to work it down here into the... Oh, God, I did that in the GTD race, too. I think I've done that 3 races in a row where I go into the bus stop in the first lap and I just completely go off the track. Ay, ay, ay. The Ford GT didn't quite get around me. The prototype has gotten around the Corvette, but the problem is that the GTE cars on top speed are just about where the GTE cars are, and he got blocked by the prototype. We're going to sneak around the outside on the banking, take the lead in class, but we're at the top of our 6th gear. We don't have anything left. Going into turn 1 here, we're definitely not going to outbrake that prototype. But we're going to try because I locked the brakes up. No ABS in these cars like there are in the GT3 cars. The BMW to the inside. So Corvette, BMW, Ferrari, top 3 at Daytona. Oh, the Beamer was way out on the outside of the track. Couldn't quite hold him off. Or couldn't quite get around him, I should say. He held me off quite well. into fifth gear. Get through there, David. Second horseshoe. Get the speed down. Put that apex. Get on the throttle. It is traction control in these cars, so yeah, I do have a little bit of help there, but I feel that the traction control in these cars is just a little bit overbearing. Onto the banking. Come on, come on, come on. Oh, I didn't get a good run. In fact, I'm going to get passed by the Ford GT. I'm almost positive behind me. I'm going to have to get really lucky. I got to hope that this Beamer in front of me gives me a decent draft here, and I've got to not outbrake myself as well in the bus stop. Oh, the Ford GT was literally touching my bumper right there. Again, you'll have to look at the replay angle. You guys will have a better look at that than I will. Man, I thought he touched me. To the outside of the BMW on the banking. This is where we're always pretty strong. Now let's see if we can get a double draft, as Bobby Unser would say, on the Corvette here. Pull down the main straightaway. I think that Beamer's got better top speed, though. He's also got the draft of the Corvette. Oh, there's no way I'm out braking him. Car locks up, still going into turn one. But I got it down there. Traction control kicking in. Sliding the car just a little bit through there. As night already beginning to fall here at Daytona. No bad weather expected, despite the fact that we had bad weather in qualifying. This is just going to be a clear run from start to finish. Like I said in the intro, AI on 115%. I like to turn them down just a little bit when we're in the dry conditions, because I feel like I don't quite have the pace in the dry versus the wet for the AI. Oh, as we slide it on out of the final corner before the banking and really lose a lot of time to the Beamer there. So I don't know if I'm not braking late enough. Maybe I need to brake a little bit more early, try to get that run off the corner, because that's where I feel like I'm really losing a lot of time to the Corvette and the Beamer just out in front of me. So let's get down here. Hopefully not get run over by the Ford GT this time. Took a little too much curve on the entry, but pretty good on the exit. Pretty good on the exit. Forgot how nice it was to drive through there without having a gigantic, stupid puddle to run through like I was in the GTD race. Nice run on the banking. Oh, very nice, very nice. I'm not going to quite have the legs on the Beamer to get alongside him, but this is good. So we get down in there. That time I braked much better, modulated my braking way better than I had the previous lap, or the lap before that even. Oh yeah, oh yeah. That was a decent corner. Definitely felt like I got the car slowed down the right amount, caught that apex, shot off the corner. I guess I should try to use first gear a little bit more. Brake early and use first gear. Did I gain or lose any time to the Ford there? I feel like I maybe have lost some time. Oh yeah, definitely looking at the banking. And the distance between myself and the BMW. It's starting to grow a bit. So I definitely did not, again, get through that final corner, leading onto the banking the right way. The Ford is there. I'm a little bit worried he's going to try to... Oh, yeah, he's pulling out. He's going to get me. Oh, that's the Corvette. Never mind. Too many red and white cars in this race. So we're going to draft up on the Corvette here. We should be able to slingshot by him, I would hope. Slingshot, engaged. Pull that sixth gear. These Corvettes, from what I understand, though, are the fastest of the GTE cars on the straight lines. So that makes it very difficult to go around these guys, and we're going to go side by side. The Corvette's still there. He is not going to give me an inch. Then I brake way too late. Oh! Oh, boy! I think I may have accidentally shoved that Ford GT into the pit wall. Man, I don't know why he was sticking it down in there. That was a very brave move for a very early part of this race. I don't know how I feel about that. Ooh, now I'm making mistakes. Had a crisis of conscience there. That's never a good thing when you're in a race. Get down into second gear this time. Try to catch that apex a little bit better this time. I don't know. I don't know if I did better that time or if I'd done better the previous time. I certainly lost a ton of time to my GTE competitors just out in front of me. They are just gone. I always feel like the GTE cars, at least the AI, the way the AI drive them, they always come on very strongly in the nighttime. I guess the AI just really like cool conditions for their cars. As opposed to me, I guess I like my tires warm, I don't know. So we've got to try to focus in here on getting back up to that lead trio of GTE competitors. Otherwise, we're going to be relegated to 4th place, at least in this race. But we are slowly pulling away from the car behind us, so that's possibly confidence helping. Just clipping that apex curve there in the international horseshoe. Down the back straightaway, arc it in, pretty nice. That Ford is still gaining on me through the infield. There's really nothing. Just seems like I have a bad setup for the infield. I think that's the long and the short of it. And the Ferrari isn't really the best car on the banking either, so that doesn't really help. I perhaps should have gone with some serious downforce, you know, I compromised for the wrong part of the track is what I'm trying to say. Because if I had gone, you know, heavy on the downforce, I'd be really fast to the infield. And in sections like this, the bus stop, where I'm fast anyway, but it usually doesn't mean a whole lot, because even if I get an amazing run off of here, I'm still only just as fast as the BMW or the Corvette on the banking. So it kind of creates a bit of a counterintuitive deal, unfortunately. As we ride down the banking. Car arced into turn 1. I guess I should talk about this car a little bit. It's a turbocharged car. It actually looks very similar to the previous model of this car in GTE competition, the 458 Italia, which debuted in 2011. But unlike that car, again, this one's turbocharged. That one was a normally aspirated V8. If you've seen this car race in real life, whether in the GT3 or GTE category, doesn't really matter. It is incredibly quiet. The old 458 Italia was one of the loudest cars on pretty much any grid it was a part of. That thing would shatter your ears. This thing, the turbocharger, quiets the motor down significantly, which I think most people would probably say that a Ferrari needs to kind of be loud and obnoxious. And this one isn't particularly all that loud and obnoxious. But I'll tell you what's being obnoxious is the Ferrari directly in my mirror, which is the SMP racing car. So we're having a little bit of Ferrari on Ferrari rivalry action going on, even though I completely dusted him in the bus stop. And I'll tell you, those GTE that my GTE competitors are gone. They have pulled away. I wonder if this race is just going to be David falls to the back of a GTE race. The problem again with Daytona is that most of the race, especially in the wintertime, is run at night. So when you do a 24-hour simulation, and remember I mentioned my theory on GTE AI drivers in the night, you know, they go faster way more of the majority of the race than I can. So it just makes things a little bit not stacked in my favor. Perhaps I should have turned the AI down a little bit, but then again, you know, I kind of like races where they really, really challenge me. Why play a game if it's not going to challenge you, you know what I mean? Especially a racing game. I want the AI to kick my butt, which they are doing right now. Sitting 4th in class, probably overall, we're probably about 9th, I would imagine. I think there's about 4 or 5 prototypes in this race. We did actually get to race the prototypes for just a little bit, but not for very long. That Ferrari, oh, that was definitely contact. No doubt about it. I missed the bus stop because wow, what was he thinking? What were you thinking, sir? That was Ferrari on Ferrari. I don't know how they're getting through the bus stop so fast. Maybe I'm just being a bit of a wet blanket about going in there. But they are carrying a ton of speed in. A ton of speed into the bus stop. The problem is I feel like the front end of the car kind of slides a little bit on corner entry. Perhaps you're going to say, oh, you should have had some front downforce. And maybe I should. Maybe this Ferrari doesn't work quite the same way, you know, the rest of the GT cars or even some of the prototypes work, where my kind of baseline setup of 2 on the rear wing and 0 on the front wing isn't really the best combination for this car. Just see that SMP Ferrari is just all over the back of me.
10 minutes remaining.
And we've still got 10 minutes to hold him off. Hello. My Ferrari brethren chasing me down. And he's gonna have a huge run into the bus stop. Oh no. You gonna try? Oh boy, boy did he try. Boy did he try. Oh, contact. Side by side. Man, this is Ferrari on Ferrari violence. What I was expecting to happen. All right, so who's got the better setup for the banking? He does. He's ahead for now. Oh, side by side still. Now I pull ahead. I've got a better 6th gear than he does. We're going to block him. And around the outside he goes. Don't outbrake yourself, David. Oh, look at the front end push. Oh, we're off the track. Oh, boy. Nope. All of the nope on that one. All of the nope on that one. Dang. This is David gets his butt kicked by the GTE field, man. Holy smokes. That Ferrari schooled me. Maybe I should have picked a 4 GT. Alright, let's see if we can get back up there. The 4 GT that I put in the wall, he's nowhere to be found. So we're not going to be last in class, but I'd certainly like to try to, if I can, chase that GTE SMP car down here and not be the last of the Ferraris. And even though I think there's a GT3 Ferrari in this race, last of the GTE Ferraris is not acceptable. Not at all acceptable. Find your apex, Mr. Land. Clip that curbing a little bit over the greenery on the outside of the track. Yeah, I just see, it's weird, he's just pulling away. Well, I caught the apron there on the oval just a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, the Ferrari's just not, I don't know, I'd love to find a set. Wow, that's weird. That sun definitely rose on Daytona. Everything got a whole lot more pink and orange. But, yeah, I'd love to know if anybody's actually found a decent setup for this car at Daytona. Or if I just set the AI too high. Because I'm looking on my wheel right now, or my dash, and it says my best lap is a 1:45. Is that a good GTE time around Daytona? Or do I need to drop about 2 seconds? Well, at the very least, the daylight's coming out, so hopefully it'll help me a little bit. As you hear, he just said best first sector. So looks like my nighttime versus daytime theory is starting to prove true. Move up into 5th gear, down through turn 2, which is still cast in shadows, as well as the back straightaway with all those advertisement banners back there. Yeah, that was definitely braking too early for the chicane, because I was down to the speed I wanted to be, and I had to actually get on the throttle a little bit more. So that's not very good. Not good driving, David. Or not fast driving, I should say. Oh, that Ferrari's coming into the pits. The SMP car just came into the pits. Why is he pitting? There's no way they need fuel. Why are they coming into the pits? Oh, that was a mistake by that Ferrari. What? I guess a mechanical failure? Who knows? I just outbraked myself going into the horseshoe. I'm good on fuel. 5 minutes remaining in the race. I still see the GTE leaders ahead of me. Obviously, they would be ahead of me because they're leaders, but... So I guess the Ferrari just decided to gift me 4th place in the class. Why he was... Maybe a penalty? That'd be weird that he would serve that 2 laps after the fact. I mean, I guess I suspect he cut the chicane on the way in trying to pass me. I don't know. I don't know why that car pitted. I'll take the gift, but I'm more confused than a dog in a mailman convention. Does that make any sense? Probably not. So we just skip across the chicane, back out onto the banking once again. So probably with, I think, 5 minutes to go now, we've probably got 2 laps remaining, or at least 2 times cross the line remaining. We've really got, yeah, well, no, 3 times across the line from here. So really 3 laps remaining, but it's going to be 2 from here as we're coming through the tri-oval now. Crossing the start-finish. And lock up the brakes in turn 1. It's possible maybe this car runs pretty low and the ride height's too low. So I would be making up some serious time on the banking because I've got the right aerodynamic setup and gearing setup for it, but it scrapes in the corners, so that loses me time. Who knows? I will say, though, it's kind of fascinating that one of those GT cars pitted. Does that mean that potentially somebody else is going to come in from ahead of me and give me the lead in the class. It's certainly possible, at least a podium in the class. I just don't know. I just don't know. I guess that's why we run the race. If it was predictable from the drop of the green, there would be no point to running the race in the first place. So we should be getting the white flag coming around this time. Be the last lap around Daytona. Sorry it wasn't a more entertaining race. The field definitely spread out a lot more than they did in qualifying. Maybe I should have made this the rain race and the GT3 race, even though the wheel would have been popping the whole time, the dry race. Because we're just kind of running all by our lonesome here. We get her down in turn one again. The front end just whoop, just decided to push out on me there, like steering a dump truck. Now, obviously, if this was an endurance race, like a real long endurance race, I wouldn't have to worry about this nearly as much. You know, I'm still on the lead lap, turning fairly competitive times. I can still see the leaders in the GT class. You know, all you have to do is stay on the lead lap in a race like this. If I cut a pit stop out, you know, if I was saving fuel and everybody else pitted one lap, you know, or one more time than I would, I'd win the race. But obviously over 24 hours, I'm guessing I'd probably get lapped about 3 times running the pace I have now. Just have 1 minute remaining here now. So that almost makes me think, easy for me to say, that we're actually going to actually get 1 more lap in, depending on where the prototypes are in relation to the start-finish line on the race end. We'll find out. So we go up the gear to 4th, to 5th. Am I sparking at all? No, I don't see any sparks. It's kind of hard to tell. In the original project cars, you always had that really violent sound of the car bottoming out, so you knew it was bottoming out. But in this game, you don't have that, so it's kind of harder to tell if you're bottoming out. All right, so last lap. We're gonna find out. Oh man, oh man. Again, the understeer is real. So yeah. Let me know in the comments if you know, or if you have a setup sheet for a 458 Italia, you know, in real life, let me know how it works. But how do I cure that understeer in the middle of the corner, or on the exit, I should say? Because this car really pushes the front end quite a bit. Again, right there, you see it. Maybe I'm just driving into the corners too hard. It's certainly possible. But again, yeah. It's funny because this race is run to such a weird pace that the sun's actually setting again. We may have gone slightly over 24 hours in this 24 hours at Daytona. So we work down the back straightaway for the final time. On the oval, of course. The road course also has a back straightaway. So just get it through there nice and easy. Don't need to set any speed records. And I certainly haven't been setting them in this race today. It's not going to be a victory here at Daytona, but it was certainly an interesting race, and I certainly got my butt kicked. So, hey, you know what? After the Project Cars 2 AI got embarrassed kind of in the GTD multi-class race, they come back with a big-time revenge in the GTE class. Still fun to drive, though. So, obviously, the prototypes finished out in front, but one of the LMP2 cars actually got passed by one of the Corvettes. What, oh man, oh man. So there you go, so a little bit of prototype and GT action. I managed to come home 9th overall, 4th in GTE. A BMW won in GT3. And there's the Ford that got smacked into earlier on. And then for whatever reason, the Ferrari and one of the Porsches didn't even make it to the end of the race. losing a lap in the pits. I'm somebody tell me how that works. I have no idea. So that was the GTLM class at the Rolex 24. Hope you guys enjoyed this race. I got my butt kicked, but again, sometimes I think those almost are more entertaining videos because a little bit of struggle never hurt anybody. Look how close that was on lap 1 as I passed the eventual winner in the class, the Corvette racing car, leading the way as we make a little bit of jinking and jerking underneath the Ford GT. So, hope you guys enjoyed this. The next and final video in the Rolex 24 series will be an hour-long endurance race with the LMP2 cars. I'm very excited for that race, and I think you guys are as well. You guys have been begging for endurance, longer distance races. We're going to give it to you. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been David Land on YouTube, and we'll see you in the next video.